Hi there, this is lesson 106, Algebra 1 Saxon Math. And this lesson we're going to cover linear equations and equations of a line through 2 points. So let's start about defining a straight line. So when we're given a graph of a first degree equation with two unknowns, means two different variables, this is called a straight line and we call it a linear equation. Now, this is the standard form for a linear equation, which is ax plus by plus c. Now, we have to know that a, b, and c are real numbers, and both a and b cannot be zero. Now, one of them can be zero, but not both of them. So here are some examples of some linear equation. 4x plus y plus 1 equals 0. Negative 2x minus y minus 11 equals 0. Those are examples of standard form. You've got to know this piece here. Okay. Then we have when we express y as a function of x, and basically that just means the order, y as a function of x, okay, this is called slope-intercept form. This is going to be your best friend, and you will use this forever and ever as we start graphing. So you really need to be familiar with what this is called. Okay, in slope-intercept form, we have m and b, where m represents the slope and b represents the y-intercept, or another way of saying it, it's the y-coordinate of where the graph crosses the y-axis. So if this is 3, your y of this linear equation, guess what b is going to be? B is going to equal to 3 because that's the y-coordinate, right? Because this coordinate is 0, 3, where the graph crosses the y-axis. All right, so that's what we need to know about that. And we're going to use this information to write equations. Now, let's look at, so they're going to ask us, so we've been graphing the equations, finding approximate lines, and this stuff is going to be helpful. It's setting us up to write equations. So let's look at example 106.1. They said, find the equation of a line that passes through the 2 points 4, 2, and negative 5, negative 3. Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to graph these points. Okay, so there's this one and there's this one. So when we graph it and we connect the dots, okay, mine's not perfect, but we're going to pretend like it went through the 2 dots. There's our line. Okay, so we can find the exact value of the slope, can't we? We've already practiced that making a right triangle, right? So we said we ran from negative 5 to 4, so we ran 9 units. We rose from negative 3 to 2, so we rose 5 units. So we went up, which was positive, and we went to the right, which is positive. So we can say that our slope is positive 5/9. Okay, by plotting the 2 points and writing the equations. Or we learned the slope formula, remember, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We can call this x1, y1, x2, y2. Or we could have called this group, the 4-2, x2, y2, and this group x1, y1. It doesn't matter. There's just, what you can't have is x1 for 4 and y2 for 2 on the same coordinate. They have to have the same subscript. If we were to put in the formula, we will get positive 5/9. As long as we do them correctly, we'll get the same answer whether we use these as the 1s or the 2s. All right? So now we've got, so to write our equation, okay, so we're going to use, this is why that slope-intercept equation is important. So now we're going to go back and we're going to use the equation of y equals mx plus b. This is important. So in order to write the equation, we need an m and we need a b. Well, we already have the 5/9. If we look at it, it looks like it kind of, if you look at the book, it looks like we need a b. Where does it cross the y-axis? Well, mine looks like closer to like negative 0.75, and the books looks like negative 0.3, but that's not good enough. We have to have an exact value. Since we have exact points, we have to have an exact value. We can't just guess. So we've got 2 points here. We have an equation. We have an m, right? So we look at this equation over here. I'm going to use green. We know we have an m. We need a b, but we have an x and a y. We have 2 coordinates. We have 2 sets of coordinates. We have 2 x and y. So we can plug either one into here, and then we're left with just one variable, and we can solve. So we're going to take this equation, and we're going to, let's use 4, 2. So if we use 4 comma 2, and we're going to use the equation y equals mx plus b. This is x, and this is y. So I'm going to plug it in. So I'm going to have 2 equals, my slope is 5/9. My x is 4 plus b. Oh, we got fractions here. That's okay. We know how to do fractions. We shouldn't let fractions scare us. So this becomes 20/9 plus b equals 2. We're going to minus 20/9 from both sides. And then we get b equals, this becomes 18/9. This becomes negative 2/9. So now I have the 2 things that I need. Now I can write my equation. So my equation is y equals 5/9 x minus 2/9. So remember, this equation is so important. We know that when we're trying to write these equations, there's 2 values we need, an m and a b, and then we've got our equation. All right, so let's try the next one. Find the equation that passes through the 2 lines, 4 comma negative 2 and negative 3 comma 4. By the way, wouldn't have mattered which x, y I used to solve for b. I use the second one. It doesn't matter. You're going to get the same answer for b. So the first thing we do is we're going to, instead of graphing it, we're going to use the slope formula. So I'm going to call this, let's see what they use. So, okay, so I'm going to use x2, y2, x1, y1. Okay, so my slope formula, remember my formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2, so I'm going to have, oh no, let's change these again, sorry. Make this x1, y1, so we'll follow along with the book. Okay, so y2 is 4 minus, my formula has a minus. Now I look at what y1 is, and it's negative 2. This is important because it will change your answer. And then x2 is negative 3 minus 4. So this becomes 4 plus 2, which is 6. This becomes negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7. So our answer is negative 6, 7. So there's our slope. Okay, so we always start off by writing your equation. And we need an m and we need a b. Negative 6/7. So now we plug this into it. It doesn't matter which is, I'm going to use the first, I'm going to use the second coordinate right here. So we're going to do 4 equals negative 6/7 times negative 3 plus b. So negative times negative is positive, so I'm going to get 18/7 plus b equals 4. I'm going to minus 18/7 from both sides. Okay, this changes to 28/7, which gives us, which I did, oh no I didn't, which equals 10/7 equals b. Got no fractions, they're not giving us pretty numbers, so now we can write our equation. So our equation is y equals negative 6/7 x plus 10/7. So once you have m and b, you plug it into format and you've got your equation. Okay, so one more practice example. It gives us the 4 comma 3 and 4 comma negative 3. So again, x1, y1, x2, y2. So it's going to be, we start with our equation, y equals mx plus b. We need an m, and we need a b, sorry, that's an m. So it's going to be negative 3 minus 3 over 4 minus 4. We get negative 6 over 0. Uh-oh, we got 0 here, right? So when we have 0, that means we have what? No slope. It's going to be, did I do this right? Yes, so when we graph the lines, we find that the line is a vertical line. And so horizontal lines are special ways. So we have two lines that are x equal some number and y equals some number. Okay, so x equal 4, we already learned, is a vertical line. So at 4, right? And y equals 4, it's going to be at some line, horizontal line, right? So when we're doing the slope and we get, because remember we can't zero, this is undefined, it's not 0. When that happens, remember a vertical line is not a function. It's undefined, doesn't have a slope. So therefore we look at the x coordinate and we say that the equation is x equal 4. Now, if we would have gotten them reversed and we got 0 over negative 6, we would say that equals 0. Then we would look at the y coordinates, and those should be exactly the same. They're not here, but if they were, they would be the same. And then our equation would be y equals whatever that y coordinate is. Okay, so we'll talk more about this later, do the practice problems, and we'll see you at the next lesson.